Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of webinars, weekly webinars. Today we're going to talk about, my name is Jayhun. We'll be talking today about the 7 habits of highly effective people. As you may remember, last week we have discussed the first part. Basically, it is actually the full day training. But we are managing to put it into 2 hours, around 1.5 hours of the, webinar. We would like to thank Imran Maken, Mr. Imran Maken, participating in this. He's the manager in the Sofitel the Palm. He showed great interest to give this training. I strongly believe that this is the 7 habits, this is 7 traits actually every person, not only the business people, but also the people who are really would like to be very much disciplined. They need to have these traits in their day-to-day life, let's say. So we will start. So basically we do have the presentation. The first, I just would like to cover up as we talk about our guest speaker today, Imran Maken. So we will be sharing the webinar. Recording is going on live on the Facebook as well. Would like to welcome the people who joined through the Facebook as well. The webinar will take around 1.5, so we will manage to put it tight. Obviously, this is very much big training, and very much excited to go to the next, session. If you have any technical issues, please use the chat box, as well as the questions, inquiries, as well as the comments, feedbacks. You can use the chat box, all the panelists, because all of them are on the mute. We'll be live in the media channels, social media channels. So we will just start. I guess obviously, you can take a lead, Imran.
Sure, thank you very much. Let me share my screen.
Please.
All right. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Let me see. For time being, I don't see. It's, I guess, my screen.
All right, let me do it again. Okay, now I think, now yes. Can you see it?
Perfect, yeah.
All right, sure, just 1 minute.
Yeah. Full energy, we start to go.
Sure. All right, so can you see me here?
Yes, perfect.
Just 1 minute. All right, there we go. All right, everyone. Good evening and Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and Eid Mubarak to all Muslim brothers and sisters around the world.
Thank you very much.
So we will continue with our part 2 of 7 habits of highly effective people. For those of you actually who have joined us for the first time, let me give you a very quick brief what 7 habits is. Those of you have not an opportunity to attend the first session. Actually, this training is based on the book written by Dr. Stephen R. Covey in 1983, which is called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. As my colleague Johan mentioned, it is like usually a 2 days and 3 days full program, which is quite expensive as well if you attend classroom sessions, but we have tried our best to summarize it so maximum people can benefit from this one. So we will actually cover the remaining 4 habits. We did the first 3 habits in our first part, and today we will do the remaining 3 habits. Before we go, let's quickly recap what we have done last week. We have spoken about 2 very important concepts which are mentioned in the 7 habits training. It's called personality ethics and character ethics. Now, what is that? Personality ethics and character ethics. Actually, when Dr. Stephen Covey, he started doing his research, when he was doing his PhD at Harvard University, one of the prestigious universities in the world. So he was doing his research, and his doctorate was mainly to study the effectiveness or the success the people who are successful in the world to understand their common habits or what common traits they have. So he started studying the literature of last 200 years. Now, very interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, and all those people who are watching us, all the literature which was before First World War, which was all the literature which was written before First World War on human development, on personal development or self-development, all that literature was talking about character ethics. Now, what is character ethic? So all that literature was focusing on your honesty, integrity, human dignity, excellence, quality, service, fairness, being justice. So all these attributes were, the main focus was on all these attributes. You know, the all the literature was which was written before First World War, right? So all the focus, all the emphasis was on your character. So what is character? Again, as I mentioned earlier, your honesty, how faithful you are, your obedience, your sincerity, your being truthful, fairness, and all these things. Now, after World War One, there was very interesting shift. So all the authors who were writing books on self-help, on your, to improve you as a professional or in your personal life. So the main focus went from character ethic to personality ethic. Now, what is personality ethic? Your communication skills, the way you talk, the way you behave, the way you look like physically, your grooming standards, your interpersonal skills. So all the focus shifted from character ethic to personality ethic. Now, I'm not saying like personality ethic is not important. It is equally important. It equally plays significant role in your success. But at the same time, character ethic is the primary one. Your personality ethics, if you just work on, some people call it personality ethic like it is very superficial. I personally do not agree with it, because communication skills is important, your grooming is important, the way you look is important. It definitely plays part in the corporate world, in your success, but maybe it will not be very long lasting if your character is not strong. So your character ethics should be the primary focus, and your personality ethics should be the secondary focus, or secondary important thing. All right, so this is the little quick difference I thought to share with you between character ethic and personality ethic. Then we spoke about stages of human development. Now, this is very interesting. Like, there are 3 stages of human development in everyone's life. Whoever come to this planet, every human being has to go through these stages: dependence, independence, and interdependence. What is dependence? Now, dependence is when you depend on someone, when you depend on your friends, when you depend on your parents, when you depend on your siblings. So when you depend on someone for everything, that is called the dependence stage, as the word suggests. Then is independence. Now, independence is when you actually master the first 3 habits which mentioned by Dr. Stephen Covey, and you become an independent person. Now you don't need someone's support actually to initiate your basic uh, things you want to do in life, because now you're an independent person, because you have mastered the first 3 habits. What are those first 3 habits? Is be proactive. The second habit is begin with the end in mind. And the third habit is putting first things first. So these are the first 3 habits, which we also call it private victory. So when you master, when you start living the first 3 habits, you become an independent person. But life is not only about independence. Life is all about interdependence. You can't be successful until and unless you work with other people. And that is something, when you learn the next 4 habits and you become interdependence, because now you start working and collaboration with other people, and you enter into the phase of interdependence, and we call it a public victory. All right, these are the two concepts which I just mentioned with you: private victory and public victory. Private victory, which is mainly with yourself. Public victory is when you learn the next four habits, habit 4, 5, 6, and 7, and you achieve the public victory. Then we spoke about paradigms. Now, what is paradigm? Paradigm is the mental maps which we create in our mind, the mental images which we create in our mind about certain people, about certain situations, about certain circumstances. We create mental images or mental maps in our mind. And these mental maps are not necessarily always true, because we create this mental map about certain people just based on our own thinking, based on our own experiences and the facts we have, because we are looking at those things and at those people only just through our own information we have. We are not looking from the other spectrum or from the other side. So these are called the paradigms. So in order to learn the 7 habits, it is very important that we change our thought process, that we change our thinking process, and we change our paradigm, and we come up and we learn the new paradigm, and we learn uh, to look at things in a different perspective, in a new perspective. That is what we call it, paradigm or paradigm shift. Because until and unless you unlearn your previous habits, until and unless you unlearn your previous thought process, you cannot learn the new habits. So this is what we call it, paradigm. We need to change our paradigm. We need to have a paradigm shift. Then we spoke about the first 3 habits, and I'll show you this image. Here we have habit number 1, which is be proactive. Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind. And habit 3 is put first things first. Very quickly, what is habit 1? Habit 1 is be proactive. When you take 100% responsibility of your life. When you say from today onwards, I am responsible for my behavior, I am responsible of my actions, I am responsible of my thoughts. This is what we call it, be proactive. Now in management, you often hear the word be proactive is linked with taking initiatives. It is also correct, it is also true. But when we use the word be proactive, it has a bigger meaning, it has a bigger scope and bigger canvas. So it means when you take responsibility of your life. Now, what is a common paradigm? What is a common thought? The common thought you often hear from people, and you will hear them saying, oh, this is just the way things are and I can't do much about it. This is the common perception, this is the common way of thinking. And usually, what is the opposite of proactive? It is called reactive. So usually, my friends, reactive people have this thought: this is just the way things are. Oh, this world will not change. This is how my office is. This is how my colleagues are. This is how my boss is. This is called the common paradigm. This is the thought or the paradigm which reactive people have. But proactive people, they have a completely different paradigm. They think in entirely different way, and they will say, I am free to choose. I'm ultimately responsible for my happiness. No matter how my office is, no matter how my colleagues are, no matter how my siblings are, no matter how my friends are, but I am responsible for my happiness. I am responsible for my actions. I'm responsible for my behavior. And I know how I can lead my life. This is the paradigm of proactive people. I hope I'm clear so far. All right. Then we move to the next concept. When we spoke about be proactive, we discussed this very important concept, my friends. It is called stimulus and response. So whatever happens to you, if someone said something to you, if someone did something to you, so being human being, we have this freedom to choose. There is always a gap. What happens to you and your response, there is always a gap. If you do not utilize this gap and you respond immediately, maybe you will spoil the things. maybe you will worse the things. So as a be proactive person, always take time before you respond, before you reply to someone, before you say something to someone back. Always take time. Could be 1 minute, could be 5 minutes, could be one day, but or do not reply to someone if someone said something to you negative, or something which is not nice, or something which is rude, or something which is not polite. Never ever reply back immediately. Please, please, please. Always take this gap and utilize it, which is freedom to choose. Because being human, you have these four qualities available, which is self awareness, imagination, conscious, and independent will. Have some time, find some quiet place, and use these four human gifts which are given to you by the Lord of the universe, and use these four gifts given to you as a human being, and then reply back to that person. You will see your relationship will be totally different, because now you took some time, you cooled down, and you reply to that person as a proactive person, not like as a being reactive person. Because if you react to every situation, if you react to everything what people say to you will be always end up in fighting and spoiling your relationships. This is not how the things work in life. So my friends, always use this concept, always have this concept in mind: stimulus and response. Stimulus is when something happens to you, and response is obviously your respond to that person. Then we discussed another very interesting concept, which is called circle of concern and circle of influence. Now, circle of influence is also known as circle of control. You will find some people, I mean, maybe your friends, maybe yourself as well, maybe me sometime as well. We usually focus on circle of concern, on this one, the outer one, things which concern to us, but which are not in our control. Now, weather is not in your control. Pandemic COVID-19 is not in your control. Political views of other people are not in your control. Others' behavior is not in your control. What other people say to you, it is not in your control. But if you focus on circle of concern, on things which concern to you but which are not in your control, you will keep widening this circle, and you will waste your own physical, spoil your physical health and mental health. Now, if you are a proactive person, your focus will be on this one: circle of influence. What is in my control? What kind of changes I can bring in myself? All these kind of things. Your attitude, what new skills I can learn, your health routine, your eating habits, your friends, because you have this you always have this choice to choose your friends, the books you want, the kind of books you want to read. So these things are in your control. This is what we call it: circle of influence. So people who are proactive, or who live this habit one, they always focus on circle of influence. So things which are in your control. I hope the concept is clear now. So from today onwards, be proactive. And if you decide to live habit one, focus on circle of influence, things which are in your control. Yeah, so this is called habit one, which is be proactive. We move to the next habit, which is called begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. It is very clear from the name of the habit, like begin with the end in mind. Whatever you decide in your life, whatever, even if you plan to travel, if you plan to start a new project, always have end goal in mind. What do you want to achieve from this project? If you're going for an interview, decide, think what I want to achieve from this interview. If you're planning to visit some new country or a new place, always have this in mind. What do you want to, what kind of places you want to visit, what kind of information you want to have there. So this is what we call it, begin with the end in mind. The common paradigm, people who, the common paradigm, let me quickly explain you the common paradigm of this habit too. You will find many people telling you, or you hear them often saying, I can't predict how my life turn out, so I just go with the flow. I can't predict how will be my life, so I don't take things very seriously. I just go with the flow. So this is the common paradigm. This is the common way of thinking, which is not correct, which is not nice. But people who are successful or highly effective paradigm of habit two is they clearly define their vision and purpose in life. So whatever you want to achieve in life, always have begin with the end in mind, always have end in mind, what you want to achieve. Let's say if you start your career in food and beverages as a waiter, or if you start your career as a receptionist in front office in any of the hotels, always have in mind where do you want to see yourself in next 2 years or in next 1 year. If you just start your career and you do not have any goals and you do not have any mission or vision, you will end up spending 5 years in the same position. You will end up spending the 5 years in the same position because you are not clear what do you want to achieve in life. So even if you start your career today as a receptionist or as a food and beverage, in food and beverage as a waiter or a waitress, write it down, write your mission and vision statement. Where do you see yourself in next 1 year, in next 2 years, and then design your plan accordingly. What kind of trainings you need to what kind of trainings you need to do, what kind of new books you need to read, what kind of new information you need to have to achieve that position now. So always begin with the end in mind. So there is a common saying about this habit too, which is begin with the end in mind. Like we always create things in two ways: first mentally and then physically. Yeah, you always create things in two ways. First you think about the thing mentally, and then you do it physically. So if you plan to do something new, or that is your first creation, and then obviously when you take the steps to do that thing, to achieve that thing, that is your physical creation. Yeah, so this is what we call it, begin with the end in mind, habit two. Then we move to the next habit, which is called put first things first. The habit of personal management, very, very important, of course. If you want to be successful in life, you need to be clear what are some of the things which are most important to you. What relationships are most important to you? What kind of work is most important to you? So always put first things first, the habit of personal management. The common paradigm is people who are not very effective, I would say, or people who are not very successful, they have this kind of thinking. I spend time on something which is most urgent. Yeah, so whatever is coming to them, they are doing it because everyone is asking, can you please do this for me? Can you please do this for me? Can you please do this for me? It is very urgent. It is very urgent. So their entire day is spent on doing things which are urgent, and they miss something very important, which is about the important task they need to do. Now, urgent and important, there is a slight difference between these two things. Urgent is, of course, as the word suggests, urgent, but important is, a task is important when it is linked with your mission, when it is linked with your vision, when it is linked with your values. That task will be important to you. And always, if you want to be successful, always focus on the tasks which are important to you. not something which is urgent to you. Of course, sometimes urgents are important as well, but if you just focus on the urgent things, you will miss out the important tasks, which are probably related to your career, which are related to your goals, which are related to your vision, which are related to your mission. So always make sure you focus on the tasks which are important to you. If you just focus on the urgent, all 365 days, you will spend your time on doing the urgent things, and you will completely miss out the things which are important to you. And then at the end of the year, you will say, oh, I wanted to do this training, but I haven't done it. Why? Because you were only focusing on the things which were urgent, and you miss something which is important to you. So this is what the habit 3 suggests: put first things first. So these are the first 3 habits, ladies and gentlemen, which we discussed in very detail in our first session last Friday. And now we are moving to the next part, which is called the last 4 habits. So now we are moving from private victory to public victory. So when you start, not just learn, actually, when you start living the first 3 habits, you achieve the private victory. Now you become an independent person. And now we are good to move and good to go to the next level, which is called the public victory. And you will earn public victory. You will achieve public victory when you start living the next 4 habits. What are those 4 habits? Habit 4 is called think win win. Habit 5, very important habit, and it is called also a skill. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 6 is synergize, and habit 7 is sharpen the saw. These are the 4 habits of public victory. So as it says, private victory. Now we are moving from private victory to the public victory. But I have something very interesting to show, a very interesting video, and I recommend to watch it very carefully. It is called emotional bank account. Now, emotional bank account, we use this metaphor for trust. So you cannot have a wonderful relationship with your co-workers or with your siblings or with your anyone who is in contact with you until and unless your relationship is based on trust. So how can we develop trust with other people? I'm presenting you a very beautiful video. Watch it carefully, and I'm sure you will like it, and then we will discuss further. Emotional bank account. There we go. Please enjoy this video.
A great metaphor for the amount of trust in relationships is known as the emotional bank account. It is similar to a financial bank account into which you make deposits and can take withdrawals. If you build a high reserve within your emotional bank account, you have more trust. Communication is fast and almost effortless. If you have a low bank account, communication is slower and can be strained. If you have a high balance and you make a mistake, a withdrawal, the balance of trust you have can absorb it. If your account is low and you make a withdrawal, you can easily get overdrawn and damage the relationship. To arrive at a high reserve requires making many deposits.
The first deposit in the emotional bank account is always to seek to understand what deposits and withdrawals are to another, to see the world from within their own frame of reference. Because what you think is a deposit to another may to them be a withdrawal. So the next deposit would be treating people with kindness and courtesy and respect. The withdrawal would be to be unkind, discourteous, and disrespectful. The key to a family culture is how you treat the child that tests you the very most. If you can show unconditional love to that one, every other one will know you also love them unconditionally. They've seen it. But if they see you starting to compare, to criticize, and to be a little overreactive or too harsh, they'll take it personally. A third deposit would be making and keeping promises. A withdrawal would be not making a promise or making a promise and breaking it. Nothing will destroy the emotional bank account faster if you break a promise on a major issue. Another deposit would be always be loyal to the absent, to those who are not present, if you want to retain the loyalty of those who are present. The opposite of that is to badmouth, to get into small groups and to criticize other people, thinking they don't hear it anyway. But, of course, it undermines your relationship with the very people that you think you're building a relationship with as you criticize somebody else, because they know you do the same thing toward them in a different circumstance. If you want to retain the loyalty of those who are present, always be loyal to those who are absent.
We landed it. Okay, thanks so much for staying late. Rob, you're on accounting. Think weekly.
Another major deposit is to make clear expectations every time you undertake a new project or a new relationship. A withdrawal is the opposite of that. Have all kinds of unclearness, ambiguity, fuzziness, assuming that you're on the same page when in fact you're not. Particularly around roles, what I'm supposed to do, what you're supposed to do, and goals. What are the important goals we're working on?
Okay, well, I can't listen when you're just negative all the time.
Another major deposit would be to learn to apologize to somebody.
I'm not talking to you right now.
To acknowledge I was wrong. That was unkind to me. The opposite of that is to be prideful and arrogant. And when you do apologize, you just give a little bow. The Eastern expression is, if you're going to bow, bow low.
Look, I'm sorry.
Another major deposit is learn to forgive and to forget, so that you're not giving away your future and letting yourself be disempowered by the weaknesses of the past, but to move on so that yesterday does not hold today and tomorrow hostage.
I'm okay, but I mean, the car is, well, you know, we'll fix it.
The withdrawal is to have bitter feelings and give your future away. So those are some of the major deposits in withdrawals.
Wonderful. Thank you for watching. Yes, it is one of my favorite videos, and actually it is very, very important. Yeah, exactly. Because as I mentioned you earlier, the last 4 habits is all about working and collaborating with other people. So in order to live the last 4 habits, it's very important to have emotional bank account with your with anyone who is in contact with you. It's not just about people who are working with you at workplace, but also in your personal circles as well. But in order to have a bank account, you need to know the other person's currency. Now, what does that? It's not about like dollar or dirham. It's about what is important for other person, right? What interests the other person, and then you do the deposits accordingly. Yeah, be sincere and consistent. Make small deposit over time. Remember that close relationship require more deposits, and try not to make a withdrawal. So when you even say a greetings sincerely to someone, maybe who is junior to you, or to your manager, or to your supervisor, or that even very sincere greeting is a deposit from you. Maybe if your manager has given you a project to do and you do it on time, that is a deposit as well. Yeah, so these are all the deposit, just like you do the deposits in the bank, but these are the emotional deposits. Yeah, and we use this emotional bank account, this metaphor for trust, because when you do these small kind of acts and gestures, you are actually creating trust, and then working with other people become much easier for you. All right, so this was emotional bank account, ladies and gentlemen, and now we are moving to the habit 4, which is think win-win, the habit of mutual benefit. Now, this is called habit 4, coming from the public victory. There we go. So habit, first 3 habits, establish your character. And now we are moving to the habit 4, think win-win, which is all about attitude. Win-win is definitely an attitude, and you will find many people with this kind of attitude. And what is the underlying principle for this habit win-win? It is called effective long-term relationships require mutual benefits. Absolutely. So if you want to have a long-term relationship with anyone, it should always be based on mutual benefit. If it is one-sided, or like if it is I win or you lose, or I lose, you win, it means it is not mutual benefit. So mutual benefit is always when both parties have equal share of benefits. That relationship will be long lasting. For example, let me quickly give you an example of a restaurant manager. If you're a restaurant manager and you have a team of 10 people, like 10 waiters are working with you. Now, obviously, these waiter and waitresses are getting their benefits and salaries from their company or from the HR. That is obviously a part of their contract. Now, for you, if you want to have a successful team and if you want to be a successful manager, it's very important for you to have a mutual benefit. Now, what is mutual benefit? Like you take some time every week or every day and you sit with your team and you listen to them, you listen to their problems, you appreciate their efforts, you spend time on their training and development. That is called a mutual benefit, because you are spending on them, and in return they will do their work more sincerely and with full heart, and you will be a successful restaurant manager, and then you will be appreciated in management and in the morning briefings or in monthly gatherings and so on and so forth. Yes, absolutely, this is how it works. This is how it works. If you just see your own benefit, then I mean your success could maybe last for 3 months or so, but your success will be very, very temporary. So this is the underlying principle. If you want to have a win-win attitude, please, 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 please always think about mutual benefit. Yeah. So let's quickly see the principles of effectiveness of habit 4. It says mutual benefit, fairness, and avoidance. These are the 3 points which you need to keep in mind. What is the abundance? I will explain it to you in a few minutes. Now, the common paradigm, the common way of thinking, or the common perception is most of us are scripted with paradigm of scarcity. Like there is just little much, there is not too much, there is just so much, and there isn't kind of unlimited supplies. So this is what a common paradigm is. Most of us are scripted with paradigm of scarcity, and there is only so much, and the more you get, the less there is for me. This is the common paradigm. This is how most of the people, this is how they think. Like there is not too much, there is only just so much, and that I should have a control on it. But if you have a win-win attitude, if you have a win-win paradigm, or if you have a win-win mentality, you will think in entirely different way. And your way of thinking will be, your paradigm will be, there is plenty out there for everyone and more to spare. That is what we call it, abundance. And yes, absolutely, this universe it has unlimited supplies. It has unlimited supplies for all of us. And this is what the highly effective paradigm is, of thinking win-win. Like there is something for everyone. There is something for everyone. This is the right way of thinking. This is the right way of approach. Now, what are some of the common practices? Compare, compete, and feel threatened by other people's success. You often see this in many organizations where people are competing with one another in a very unhealthy, negative way because they are threatened by other people's success. Oh, if he get the promotion, I won't get the promotion. If he get this benefit, I won't get this benefit. This is a very, I would say, a negative way of thinking, negative way, not the right approach towards life. But these are some of the common practices. These are some of the common practices, unfortunately. They are insensitive to the needs and wants of others. They only consider their needs, expect to either win or lose. So these are some of the common practices. People who doesn't think with win-win mentality. This is how they live their life, which is wrong, which is not good, which is not nice, because this is not the right approach towards life. Then what are the highly effective practices? Let me share with you. Highly effective practices is, yes, have an abundance mentality, as I discussed with you earlier. Balance courage and consideration. Consider other people's win as well as their own. Create win-win agreement. Yes, now, if I'm a restaurant manager, and I will always think about my team. If I want to be successful, let's make my team successful there first. Let's make my team happy first. Because if I have a happy team, they will do wonders for me. And then who will be successful at the end? Myself and my team. This is called a win-win approach. This is called a win-win approach. Create win-win agreement. Consider other people win as well as their own. Have an abundance mentality. Don't be jealous. Don't feel threatened by someone's success. Don't feel threatened by someone's promotion. Your promotion will come at its own time. Right? Someone's promotion doesn't mean that you will not be promoted. Not at all. But unfortunately, I see this very unhealthy practice in many organizations. Oh, he got promoted. Oh, she got promoted. All kind of bickering in the cafeterias. That is such a wrong way of thinking. Enjoy, celebrate other success, work towards your skills, and you will have promotion at your time, definitely. Honestly, it is not just a bookish approach. I'm not saying it's a bookish approach. If you honestly, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have this approach and you work towards your skills, keep moving towards your goal and keep moving toward your mission, practice habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind, putting first things first, and then think win-win. You see, all these 7 habits are not randomly designed. You have to practice or live the habit 1 first, then habit 2, habit 3, habit 4. This is how, these are very strategically and a very thoughtfully designed habits. I hope it is clear so far, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
All right. So let's move to the next one. Okay, let me quickly show you a small video, a very interesting video on win-win thinking. And I hope this will elaborate the concept more clearly to you. Let's have a small video.
Now, much of the world is win-lose. Competitive athletics, competition in the marketplace. You think competitively. So it has its proper place. But if you're dealing with interdependency, if you're dealing with teamwork, if you're dealing with where you need to be cooperative, you've got to think win-win. Most people see life like a piece of pie. There's only so much. So that if you get a hunk of it that's bigger, that means I have less. If you get more profit, I have less. If you get the recognition, I don't get it. See, that's called the concept of scarcity. Abundance is where you see the pie getting larger and larger and larger. When you get the win-win spirit, the win-win attitude, and learn the skills of win-win, which are associated with habits 4, 5, and 6, what happens is you start to discover pragmatically for yourself, the pie does get larger. Most people grow up with a comparison-based identity because they were compared in their own childhood. Then in school, then in athletics, in almost every dimension of life, we live with comparisons. And we learn the values of those. Those are scripts. That's actually scripting. The ability to re-script yourself is a unique capacity animals do not possess. And any person at any time in their life, regardless of how deep those scripts are, it's tough. It's not easy. It takes patience, persistence, and courage, but they can reinvent themselves. Want to come up and help me a minute? Ron, I've never lost an arm wrestle. And I don't intend to now. You're either going to be down there or I'm going to be down there. If he puts me down here, he gets the dime, okay? And if I put you down here, that means you give me the dime. Fair enough? You tell us when to start, give us 15 seconds, all right? Mm-hmm. Now, if he happens to put me down twice, he gets 2 dimes. So keep track of how many times he puts me down or I put him down. Okay, give each other the intimidating stare. It's faster if we both win.
Yes, I see.
The essence of win-win from an emotional standpoint is that you are sufficiently independent emotionally that you can be both kind and courageous at the same time. That's the essence of maturity. You can be kind, but if you lack courage, you're going to go for lose-win. You'll capitulate, you'll give in. You'll be permissive and soft. People will exploit you, run all over you, take advantage of you. Or let's say that you're full of yourself, how right you are, you're courageous, you're firm, you're strong, but you lack any empathy, any consideration, any kindness for others. So you push for win-lose. I had this guy come to me and he said, Stephen, I really tried to practice what you were teaching. And I'm telling you, they took me to the cleaners. It just did not work. I said, well, why did you go for lose-win? He said, I didn't. I went for win-win. I thought you said they took you to the cleaners. Yeah, they did. In other words, you lost and they won. What's that called? He thought for a moment, and all of a sudden, like lights came on. Lose-win, I guess. Exactly. So you have to really pay a greater price to learn this attitude and this skill.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's very interesting video and which explains the concept in a very kind of a complete way. The whole idea of an avoidance mentality and thinking win-win is that you can grow the pie and we can all win abundantly. This is the concept of this entire video is. Yeah, the whole idea of an avoidance mentality and thinking win-win is that you can grow the pie when you work together, when you work as a team, when you take everyone on board, and when you give equal appreciation to everyone, when you start recognizing their efforts in your team. Actually, you are increasing the pie, because that is your win-win mentality, and which will obviously portray your department as a successful department, because this is what the win-win mentality is. Now, again, I'm going to share with you this amazing, these are some of very, very important and very close to my heart. People with win-win mindset always give credit to others, extend trust to others, and empower them. All the managers and the leaders, ladies and gentlemen, who are actually have this paradigm of win-win, they always give credit to others. They always extend trust to others, and they always empower others because they're not scared, they're not afraid. This is the paradigm of people who a win-win paradigm is. I know one of my bosses from my previous organization, my director for learning and development. Um, Honestly, I still remember that gentleman, and I will obviously never, he is kind of a mentor and guru to me, and I always look to up to him whenever I need any advice. These are some of the attributes and habits he have. You know, giving credit to others, always trusting his team members, empowering them. It actually grows the organization, grows the people, and grow the leader. So if you have a win-win mentality, you will be actually not just, for example, not only organization, your team will be successful, it equally benefits to you. This is what we call it, abundant mentality. All right. So two significant traits of people who have win-win paradigm is courage and consideration. Now, what is courage? Willingness and ability to speak your thoughts and feelings respectfully. And consideration is willing and ability to seek and listen to other thoughts and feelings with respect. How beautiful is that? So if you have these two traits, these two qualities in you, as a manager, as a supervisor, as a leader, as an individual, trust me, success will knock your door all the time. If you have these two qualities, courage and consideration. Courage and consideration. So this is what win-win mindset is. This is what win-win paradigm is. And then, of course, we can practice win-win agreement, not only in the professional, but in every area with parent, if you're a parent and child, family trip, project team, performance agreement, even if you're going for a trip with your family, you can also practice win-win there, okay? Not like you can, for example, when you are designing your itinerary, you can always have places of everyone's in the itinerary, what they want to visit. So everyone can enjoy the trip. This is what we call it, a win-win agreement within the family. So you're not just visiting your favorite places of choice or your favorite places, but everyone's choice is there. Yeah. So this is what win-win mentality or mindset or paradigm is. All right. So there is a very interesting quote from Dr. Stephen Covey that win-win is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. And win-win is based on the paradigm that there is plenty for everybody, that one person's success is not achieved at the expense of others. So this is a very amazing quote from Dr. Stephen Covey, which I thought to share with you. A very quick recap before we go to the next habit of highly effective practices are of win-win is have an abundance mentality. They balance courage and consideration, consider other people's win as well as your own, and create win-win agreements. So these are the highly effective practices. If you practice these habits, you will be living habit number 4, which is called win-win. Yeah, so good. So let's quickly recap. So habit number 1 was proactive. Habit number 2 was begin with the end in mind. Habit number 3 was putting first things first. And habit number 4 is win-win. Perfect. Now we are good to go move to the habit number 5, which is one of the significant habit. And the habit 5 says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. The habit of empathic communication. Seek first to understand, then to be understood is the habit number 5. And it is habit number 4 was attitude. Win-win is the attitude. But habit number 5 is something, it's a skill. It is something you can learn if you are not good into it. You can always learn. You can always practice it. And this is what habit 5 is. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, what are the principles of effectiveness for habit 4? It is respect, mutual understanding, empathy, and courage. These are the principles of effectiveness for habit 5. Moving forward, which is the common paradigm, common way of thinking. I need to make people sure understand my point of view. I want you to listen me. I want you to understand what I'm saying. All right, this is kind of a common way of thinking, and you often see this sometime, unfortunately, in the meetings as well. No, you have to listen first. You have to, please. No, what I'm saying, that is the right way. This is the common paradigm. Now, what is the highly effective paradigm? I have greater influence with others if I truly understand them first. This is the highly effective paradigm. I have greater influence with others if I truly understand them first. If I understand them first, then I can influence them. But let me understand them first. This is the highly effective paradigm. Now, what are the common practices? I'm sure you will, oh God, this is something, we see and watch all the time. Listen with the intent to reply. When someone is talking, most of the time, we are always thinking about the reply. Without listening, without even if the guest is at the reception and he is there for a check-in and he is saying something to you, unfortunately, sometimes we have the receptionists who are just focusing on the reply. They're not even listening to the guest, what the guest is saying, because their focus is right now, their mind is working. Now, let me how to reply this guest, how to handle this guest. Let me, they are always thinking on a different way. Yeah, this is the common practice, unfortunately. Confront and offend or don't speak at all. And this is the common practice. Now, what is the highly effective practice? They practice empathic listening. What is empathic listening? We will discuss in few minutes. And they respectfully seek to be understood. Respectfully seek to be understood. These are the highly effective practices of habit number 5. Yeah, you see the common practices and the highly effective practices. The people who are who are successful, who are doing wonderful in their lives and professional and personal life. This is what these are some of the things they practice of habit number 5. Practice empathic listening and respectfully seek to be understood. Now, I have another amazing video which is related to habit number 5, autobiographical responses. It's an amazing video and I'm sure you will enjoy it. Let me present this video to you, ladies and gentlemen.
One thing that gets in the way of meaningful communication is autobiographical listening. This means that we filter what others say through our own story, our own experiences, our biases, prejudices, and all of our values. You see, when I listen autobiographically, part of my story gets added to your story. And then when I respond, I base it on my own frame of reference. I might ask questions, or I might agree or disagree. I might decide it's necessary to counsel you, or try to solve the problem or fix the situation. So with the best of intentions, I can end up leading the conversation. And even worse, I don't hear what you're really trying to say. Autobiographical responses fall into 4 categories: probing, asking questions; evaluating, like agreeing or disagreeing; advising, that is giving counsel; or interpreting, or trying to figure a person out or to analyze them. But don't misunderstand. Autobiographical responses can be very appropriate, especially when the emotional bank account with another person is high. But when real understanding and clarity are needed, and when the problems are very emotional, autobiographical responses only get in the way. Watch the impact of autobiographical responses in the next segment.
Doing your homework?
What's the point? I'll never use it.
Of course you will.
Classical Greek drama. Not likely.
No one gets anywhere without an education these days.
Really? Joe's got a full-time job and he's already a manager. He has his own car, his own apartment. And me, I'm not that interested in this.
But you're interested in this.
Absolutely. I just think it's a waste of time to learn something you'll never use in the real world, when I could be out working, getting a real experience, making money.
So you want to quit. Think about your sister. She struggled in school, but she worked hard, and now she's
the queen of college and probably become a brain surgeon and end global warming. Not my sister, Mom.
I know it's hard right now, but all the effort will be worth it. When I was your age,
You wanted to join a rock band and travel the world, but instead you chose hard work and all this.
You just have to hang in there.
No, I don't.
Fine. Quit. Move in with Joe. You think life is so wonderful, so easy? Maybe then you'd appreciate what you have here.
Fine, maybe I will.
Fine.
You see, this is what the autobiographical responses are, because when you, without listening or without empathic listening, when you add your own life story into it, because everybody has a different circumstances, everybody is going through a different situation, and I share with you, this is actually, I messed up I was dealing with few teenagers in this lockdown period, my nephew and nieces, they're all like university students, and I was constantly telling them something to do. I was asking them, you guys are just wasting your time. You are not paying attention. This is the lockdown period and you can read a couple of books. You can learn some courses. And, I was constantly lecturing them. To be very, very honest, this actually happened. This is exactly happened, which you have seen in the videos. And then one of my niece, when she, after 3 or 4 minutes of my lecturing, she then actually replied back to me with her story, like why she is not reading some books or why she is not doing some new trainings or whatever kind of thing. Honestly, because I was not actually living this practice in that particular moment. And then I realized like how important these habits are, even when you are dealing with teenagers or with your kids or siblings or colleagues, because we actually we are actually, this is our habit, because we are taught reading and writing in schools, but we are never taught how to listen to others. And listening is a skill. Listening is a skill. And I'm going to present you another video of the same situation, and you see the difference when somebody listen with effective listening or empathic listening, and see the difference.
Too often, we listen to others with the intent to reply. Empathic listening is an altogether different way of being. It is listening with the intent to understand, with the intent to get to the bottom of an issue. It's one of the most important habits any leader can practice. It's the key to effective results in interpersonal relationships, in teams, and in organizations. When we listen empathically, we try to understand the other's point of view with no judgment, with no preconceived end in mind. We simply seek to understand. We temporarily suspend our view long enough to see the world through their eyes. Only people who are secure enough with themselves, those with a firm grasp of the private victory, have the capacity to listen in this way. It's important to note that empathic listening is not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's not about solving or fixing or figuring someone out. It's simply about understanding another's point of view and feelings. Watch what happens when you listen with the sole intent to understand.
Doing your homework?
What's the point? I'll never use it.
Sounds like you're frustrated.
I'm just sick of school. It's pointless. I mean, look at Joe. He dropped out of school, has a full-time job, has his own car, his own apartment, and I'm stuck here trying to decipher some ancient Greek play no one even cares about.
So you think Joe's got it better?
I mean, Joe's always bragging about how much better his life is now that he doesn't have to worry about teachers bossing him around or everyone telling him what to do.
Joe's got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's doing something. He has to work late nights, so he can't hang out with us as much or go to the games, but at least he's going somewhere.
So he's missing out on a lot, but at least he's moving forward.
I just can't get this stuff. Dad's gonna kill me. You won't tell him, will you?
You worried about what Dad'll think?
It's just he always talks about how education is important and how he expects me to go to college, but how can I do that if I can't do this?
So you're worried that if you don't understand this, then you won't get it in college either.
I know I can't. They gave me a reading test, right? On the reading test, I scored on the 9th grade level, Mom. The 9th grade. I'm a senior.
And that worried you.
No matter what I do, I just don't get it. And I know Dad will know that I'm flunking out. I don't want to quit school, but I don't know any way out.
You don't want to drop out of school, and you don't want to disappoint Dad.
Right. So what will I do?
I'm not sure. But I'm sure we can figure things out.
Yeah.
All you need to do is reflect what they feel and say in your own words. And because it's so simple, we often underestimate its power. If you don't believe me, just try it tonight with someone important to you. Just simply reflect what they feel and say in your own words. Remember now, listen with the intent to understand, not to reply. It's the key to opening up people's hearts and getting to the real issue.
Brilliant. That's such a wonderful video. Yeah. Great. So empathic listening, the only, just remember always these two things when you are doing effective listening or empathic listening. Your intention should be only to understand the other person, and your skills should be reflect feeling and words. Empathic listening is capturing feelings from non-verbal cues, listening attentively, paying full attention, caring attitude, sincere desire to understand, and and helping the speaker to feel understood, deep understanding of another person, and phrasing responses clearly. So if you just follow these, points which I have just put it on the screen for you, you will see your kind of interaction with this person will be entirely different, and that person will actually open up to you. And once he open up to you, and once he feel comfortable, and then again, coming back to the emotional bank account, because now your relationship with that person is based on trust, and you paid attention to him, you listened to him, you are not kind of interrupting that person, you are not adding your own story into what he is trying to say. You just gave him 100% time and 100% attention and focus, and that person will even open up more to you. And he will be ready to listen to your advice now. Now, even you will be in a better position to influence that person. Same thing, you can practice this with your guests and customers in the hotel, in your organizations as well. Just listen to them. No matter how angry the guest is, no matter how upset that guest is, just listen to them. Give your 100% focus, and then obviously your body language and your nonverbal cues plays significant role, and you will see, the situation you can handle in much better way, and even the guests can understand your situation as well. Yeah. Asking clarifying questions. Just couple of examples I will share with you. Can you please tell me a little bit more about that? When you say that, what do you mean by that? Can you help me understand what you mean when you say this? The kind of words you use, and also your the way you say it. It makes a huge difference. Your words and your pronunciation, your kind of the way you say it, all these things make a huge difference in your communication with the other person. And this is all about habit 5, like, first, try to understand, and then seek to be understood. This is habit 5, and it's one of the very important skill which you can comprehend, which can live and learn, and you will see the difference, the positivity comes into your relationships. All right. So moving to the habit number 6, which is called Synergize, the habit of creative cooperation. And it's also very much related to working with teams. So here we go, habit number 6, which is Synergize. So habit number 4 was think win-win. Habit number 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And habit 5 is Synergize. Now, what is the meaning of Synergize? The underlying principle of Synergize: the whole is greater than the sum of its part. The whole is greater than the sum of its part. I will explain you this further in next few slides. What does that mean? Now, what is synergy? Now, synergy takes place when 2 or more people produce more together than they could have produced separately. At the same time, each of the parts combine to create new and exciting, unexpected discoveries. Synergy, when you are opening your heart and mind to new possibilities, new alternatives, and new options. And this is the very essence of team spirit. Now, this is what synergy is. This is what synergy is. Each of the parts combine to create new and exciting, unexpected discoveries. Because when you're working in a team, for example, now at our property, we have more than 58 nationalities working together, and it's a beautiful example of synergy. All nationalities, people from different background, different beliefs, different educational background, different experiences, they're all working together, and it is a wonderful example of synergy. Because all come up with their own ideas, all come up with their own different, initiatives and innovations, and it come up with a lovely, and at the end of the day, we come up with lovely innovations. Now, what are the principles of effectiveness? Is creativity, cooperation, diversity, and humility. The common paradigm is, let's compromise. But the highly effective paradigm is, let's come up with something that is better than what either of us has in mind. This is the highly effective paradigm. Now, what are the common practices? Common practices are reject or tolerate differences. People who do not believe in synergy, they don't tolerate the differences. Settle for conflict or compromise. They believe in compromising, or they settle for some conflicts. Win-lose mindset. They do not have, people who do not believe in synergy, they don't have win-win mindset. They have win-lose mindset. I win, you lose. Internal competition, having different ends in mind. So these are the common practices. People who do not believe in synergy, they practice these kind of things, which are obviously not healthy, which are of course not good at workplace or anywhere. But people who believe in synergy and highly effective practices they value differences. They respect differences. They seek third alternatives. Let's come up with some new idea. Let's come up with some new innovations. Let's come up with new creativity. You know, using other people's talent to enhance yours, because they know, like, oh no, I think I have 10 people working in my team and they all are very talented, they all have different ideas, let me learn something from them. Now this is called synergy, because you open to new ideas, you open to new concepts and new creativity. This is called synergy. And if you have a synergy in your team, I mean, you will see wonders. You will see the productivity level goes up. You will see the performance levels goes up. You will see harmony in your team. But if there is no synergy, obviously it will be a very negative kind of environment in the team. So these are some of the highly practices of habit number 6. Let me show you a quick video on the nature of synergy. It's a lovely small video. It won't take much of your time, just few minutes. I think it's only, there we go.
Music is a wonderful example of synergy because rhythms and melodies and harmonies combine together to create an energy, a mood. Each instrument has its own beautiful sound. But when you bring them together, they create new sounds, new overtones that literally didn't exist before, new textures, richness, musical depth. This is synergy. Synergy is everywhere in nature, everywhere around us. You can see it in the way, for instance, the trees intermingle their root structures, which enables them to be stronger and to resist the great forces of nature. Synergy means that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Here's another way to look at synergy in terms of numbers. Synergy would be like 1 + 1 = 3, or possibly 10, or 100, or 1,000. I mean, literally, when you unleash creative energy, that's the kind of thing you could have developed. Synergy is creative cooperation. Sometimes it's hard. And I often would like to go for my win, or even for compromise. Sometimes it's easier, it's more comfortable, but I just remember, stay with empathy, stay with habit 5, stay with it, stay with your motive, habit 4. Go for mutual benefit, value differences. As you do that, synergy emerges. And that means you have created a solution that is better than what anyone has proposed. The essence of synergy is valuing differences. Because how are you going to get to a third alternative, a better alternative, if you don't have different points of view being expressed, different feelings, different perceptions? It's only in the interplay of differences that this creative energy is unleashed in creating a synergistic solution. The nature of the competition has become world-class. It has become a globalization of markets and technology to such a point that if you don't have cooperation, if you don't have synergy, you could literally become history in your marketplace. If you do have it, you'll be at the cutting edge. You'll be at the vanguard. You will have unquestionably the greatest strength of all. It's usually called in sports chemistry. And the great teams in sports have the kind of synergy or chemistry that can beat other teams that have hot-dogging grandstanders, that have more talent, but they don't have synergy. Compromise is not synergy. Compromise is 1 + 1 = 1.5. It has a high reputation. People think it's a great thing to get a compromise, but it's not. It's not synergistic. And it usually comes because there isn't enough trust to produce synergy. Sometimes I call synergy going for the third alternative, which basically means the first alternative would be, say, my way. The second alternative would be your way. The third alternative would be our way that we come to together. It is a higher way, the better way. There's a kind of creative dynamism, like atoms that are uniting together. And then it creates this burst of creative energy, these new thoughts that neither had even thought about before. And that's why it is so exciting. And if you happen in a team, you just know you've got something that you're creating that is so far superior to what anyone has proposed. It is truly like 1 + 1 = 25. Have you ever wondered why geese fly in a V formation? I mean, the whole flock can fly 71% further than if each bird flew alone. Because when a goose flaps its wings, it creates an updraft for the goose that follows. That's called synergy.
Perfect. Yeah. So very nicely explained the entire concept of synergy. Now think about a scenario. You can do it at your own time later on. Think about someone who challenges you and describe the situation and why it is difficult to interact with this person. Yeah, this is scenario 1. You can do it later on at your convenient time. Now scenario 2 is, now think about the same person and only focus on his strength and good qualities. You know, we always have people in our team, you know, maybe you have experienced it, like, you know, some people, I mean, they always challenge you, or maybe you don't feel comfortable working with them. But at the same time, if you just think about some of the qualities they have, you know, all of us, every human being, and I really truly and sincerely believe every human being has some good qualities and attributes. So if you just focus on their good qualities and attributes and strengths, it will change your paradigm. And that is, again, it will bring a synergy in your relationship as well, because now you will start valuing the differences and the good qualities and the strengths in that person. Yeah, perfect, guys. So if two people have the same opinion, one is unnecessary. Yeah, absolutely. You know, then there is no synergy. Then it's boring. Then it is very monotonous. So synergy is something beautiful. You know, that's why the bigger teams you have, the more you learn, the more you enjoy, the more new things you can, you know, learn from one another. All right, some just tips for you. Preparation is come with win-win attitude, believe that all parties will gain, keep minds and hearts open, use others at different opinions, viewpoints and perspectives to seek solutions, listen with an intent to understand and not reply. So these are some of the things you can always practice, you can always learn, and you can have a wonderful team, and there will be a synergy in your team as well. So this was pretty much habit 6, ladies and gentlemen. And now we go to the last habit, which is called sharpen the saw, the habit of daily self-renewal. Amazing. Sharpen the saw. As you can see now, all these habits which you have learned in these 2 weeks. Habit 1, be proactive. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Habit 3 is put first things first. Habit 4, think win-win. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And habit 6 is synergy or synergize. And now you can practice, you can live all these habits on daily basis, and you can sharpen the saw. You can sharpen the saw. There we go. Take the time on a regular basis to sharpen your saw in the physical, spiritual, mental, and social or emotional dimensions. Habit 7 has a couple of principles, which is renewal, continuous improvement, and balance. The common paradigm of habit 7 is, I'm too busy today and to take time for myself. Highly effective paradigm is, I take time for myself every day because it gives me the ability to do everything else. This is the highly effective paradigm. I take time for myself every day because it gives me the ability to do everything else. What are the common practices? Really invest in yourself. And the highly effective paradigm is achieve the daily private victory. Now, there are 4 dimensions of habit 7, and I'm going to explain it to you. It is body, heart, mind, and spirit. Sharpen the saw. Look at the word, sharpen the saw, because all the habits you have learned on daily basis, you practice them, you are sharpening them, you are living them. So the first one is body. that you do exercise every day, you have healthy food, you practice stress management, then your heart, again your emotional bank accounts, your how much you focus on the relationships, your consistent deposits in emotional bank accounts, then mind, how much is you are doing reading and writing, kind of studying, then spirit is your maybe you do the meditation, you go out in the nature, and you practice all these four human dimensions: body, heart, mind, and spirit. So if you consciously give time to all these four dimensions, you will see the difference. You will sharpen the saw and you will start living the habits. Yeah, exercising every day, reading something every day to refresh your mind and to enhance your knowledge and to enhance your skills. Spirit, which is again something very important. I mean, if you pray 5 times a day, if you are praying five times a day, or if you are doing meditation, or if you go out in the nature, whatever practices you have, but if you do it on the daily basis, it will definitely help your spirit as well. And then heart is your relationship with people at your workplace, in your personal life, and emotional bank account we have discussed. So these are the four dimensions of um, human life, which are obviously very significant, very important, and definitely it improves your productivity, it improves your performance in every spheres of your life, ladies and gentlemen. So these are the four dimensions of habit 7. And so, ladies and gentlemen, these were the 7 habits of highly effective people. And now I'm open for any questions if you have.
Good, perfectly fine. Thank you very much, Imran. It was really very much informative, I can say, because as we told in the beginning, it will be a little bit heavy to put in a tight hours, let's say. But thank you very much. People are gonna benefit from this webinar. Basically, we will have the recording, and as you told, this is not so very much. Some companies they don't do this for the free. Actually, this is a very much expensive, let's say, training. And the one point that I wanted to think of about them, I think then from the school time, teachers they are giving them more on the materialistic point of this world to the pupils, let's say kids. That's why they grew up like materialistic mindset. So basically, once they move to the position, and they climb within their career, they do always have this envy and all this kind of let's say bad habits, let's say, in terms of win-lose situations. So that's why sometimes they don't love someone got promoted, and they go into this trap, let's say. I call this as a trap, win-lose as a trap. I think that it starts from them from the school time rather than in the because the organizations, they try to fix this problem which was actually caused from the school time, school education times, as far as I understand. Do you think that there is the same, agree with this point, or do you think differently about this topic?
Yeah, it is true. It is quite true to some extent, because the society where we live, or the societies where we come from, most of the time, like, win-win is not an option there. Everybody is thinking about win-lose. Where is my benefit? Where is my share? And we actually miss the very important thing, like, what about the other people who are associated with me, because we think, and as I mentioned in the webinar, like, in universe, there is unlimited supply. There is unlimited supply for everyone. And if you celebrate someone's success, trust me, success will come to you as well. This is the law of nature. If you feel happy for someone, one day you will be even more happier. If you teach someone some new skill, it will enhance your skills. Sometimes we, for example, Now, I am not very good in Excel, to be very honest. I'm not good in Excel at all. And when my boss, director, talent and culture, Mr. Prajwal, when he gives me some assignment and to do, and it has something to do with Excel, trust me, when I right away go to the finance department, and whereas and I seek their help, and they're always very open to help me. They leave their work and they just give me their 100% time. And so honestly, I really appreciate that thing. I really value that thing. I acknowledge that thing. And this is how it creates synergy in the team. And it is also kind of a win-win situation as well, because then when next time when they come to me for something, they need help in learning and development, obviously then I will leave my everything and I will give my 100% to them. So win-win. These habits, these are not the random habits or bookish habits or just black and white. If we start living them, if we start practicing them, I mean, we will feel the difference in our relationships. We will feel the difference in our professional lives as well. And even people will acknowledge the difference in our lives as well.
Yeah, I agree fully. There was one question I remember back in my training that I used to have with one of the international chain. There was a question about, should we all comply all these 7 habits to be effective, or 3 of these habits is enough to be effective, let's say? Should we comply all of them to be fully effective, or should we go with 3 or choose?
No, I think in this way, I think here we don't have a choice, unfortunately, because as we mentioned, there are a few habits. The first 3 habits are totally related to your own life, the self-mastery, right? Which makes you an independent person. But if you are working in a team, then obviously you need to learn and practice and to live the rest 4 habits as well.
Yes.
So that's why, it's important to, to learn and to start living all these 7 habits.
Yeah, perfect, Imran. It was really very much quite very informative. I really enjoyed, specifically with the videos and your energy. So you need definitely have another visit to us in some time.
Definitely.
Thank you very much, and I hope that was well enough for today. And so for the next webinar, we will just share our poster after the webinar. Recording of the webinar will be shared as well in our social websites. Basically, let's see, and our next webinar topic, it will be once more also very much interesting. I believe so.
Yeah.
See you in our next webinar.
Sure.
Good night. Thank you very much, Imran.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.